to test. What up, life? I see your mess. I'ma still grind till I get success. I'm working, I just wanna work. I'm learning, I'm earning all the things that I deserve. So why you trying to act cool? I don't even need you. You can make me lose my breath. I'm focused, too focused. Attention on the road ahead. I'm sorry, boy, but you can't better me. I'm looking for that loyalty. No, games have never been my thing. That's just some immaturity. Don't waste my time while I'm shining. No boys allowed, be the real man, please. You can't flatter me. You can't flatter me. I'm measured in best version of myself. Add value, creativity. That's a mark I wanna leave. Don't mean to be intimidating, but I can't help it. I don't mind the waiting, and I'm gonna wait till I find what I waited for. A real man, now let fate open up that door.
The Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News is the place to be for all your gaming needs with news, guides, walkthroughs, and reviews like today's featured Shack Chat, where they discuss their boldest gaming predictions for 2022. And remember, you can join in on the conversation and customize your feed using the Shack News Cortex and Shack News Reader. And they do more than just video games at Shack News. Check out their new app, Shack Pets, to upload and vote on the cutest pet pics. Padone's dog is even on Shack Pets, folks. So if you're a gamer, Shack News is the site for you. Check them out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at the handle @CheckNews and at CheckNews.com.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, The Big Play Reflog Show!
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I know damn now. Attack by Chuck. To the 10. He's still running to the 5. He drops it. Touchdown.
It's time! The Big Play Reflog Show!
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. Today is Monday, January 17th, 2022. What is going on the internet? I'm your host, Big Play Dave, alongside Judy Carrot's boyfriend, Chris McNeil. Chris, how are you, sir?
Is it Bryson's? Ashley's baby? Is it Bryson's? I'm just so caught up in that story. I'm not sure what to think anymore. But yes, certainly Judy Carrots is right there in the middle of that whole saga. And if you have no idea what we're talking about, then consider yourself lucky.
Nick, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Just following along with the Judy Carrot story on Chris's Twitter like everyone else. I'm excited for the show tonight.
That's right. That is right.
Jefferson County buy, sell, share, whatever it is on Facebook is lit, folks. That's all you
Where
need.
was that, Chris, by the way?
Jefferson County?
Where
That's
is that?
in Missouri. I thought
In
it was
Missouri.
in Ohio. I
So
don't
did
know how
I.
I would have come across it, but I did on Facebook. And after reading it for a little bit, I'm like, this is gold. This is all.
If you need a good laugh, go check that out on Chris's.
I don't
Twitter.
think any of it's true. I don't know if it is or not. Even saying that feels like I'm telling kids that there's no Santa Claus or something. So just for everything, it is true. It's all true, I'm sure.
That's as is
It's
Santa.
good stuff.
All right, so tonight on the show, we are kicking it off with Power Rank Monday. We are doing top 3 athletes we don't really like. We're
Yeah,
kicking it off.
I hate starting off the show so negative. I have to talk to you about that, but
You know
all
what?
right.
We're going to bring it back up positive because we got our featured interview. She has an ankle. The one and only Mary Kay Cabot joining the show to talk Baker, clickbait, refloggers, the whole 9 yards. Well, we have no idea where this is going to go, but I think it'll be fun. What do you think, Chris?
We'll have to see what she's putting on the table, right?
That's
Baker
right.
is putting food on the table. What kind of food is it? Yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun. So
Please, Chris,
long
if you
time in the
if
making.
you haven't,
What's that?
make sure you ask that question that was on Twitter about the what type of food, just in case I forget, because that was a phenomenal reply.
Some of those questions, because we asked everybody going into this what questions you have for Mary Kay Cabin. There were some fabulous ones, and we'll sprinkle those in too.
Nice. That's right. All right. After that, we are getting into trivia. Who wants to be a billionaire? Cavs edition. We've pivoted from Browns to Cavs. Hopefully giving away some Labatt blue lights and a GV art shirt. I think we are 2 for 2 over the last couple of weeks here. So let's keep it going. We need to get to 5
for the year. Perfect for the year.
We are perfect for the year, kind of like the Cavs. Then we're going to get into our Cleveland headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland. Going to help us give away that Eric Metcalf signed mini helmet. That is a good one up the middle. And then we will wrap it up with the best and worst tweets of the week. But let's kick it off with some Power Rank Monday.
It's time for Power Rank Monday.
All right, Power Rank Monday brought to you by Labatt. Cleveland's public enemy number 1, Big Ben, played his final game yesterday. That was fun. That was a good way to go out. So we are going to power rank current athletes. They have to be current active players that we hate the most. So you can't, no Elway, no Jordan, no Big Ben. I will kick it off.
I struggled with this. Did you struggle with this?
You know what's weird.
We don't have any real good rivals right now.
No.
It's kind of upsetting. And I didn't really realize that until I started going through the list. And you have no Big Ben, of course. And, even with Michigan, you go Harbaugh or something. That's more of a kind of a fun thing. I don't know. He's a goofy dude. So I couldn't go there. So I went all basketball on mine. It was difficult.
I feel like we peaked with Golden State Warriors from like a hatred perspective. And then like after that, there wasn't a whole lot. Like I was going through the list and Nick, we were talking about it too. We were like, there's no one I really hate in sports right now. It's kind of a weird feeling. I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day, I mean, you had Elway, you had Bill Lambier. I mean, every single sport had their guy or their few guys that you absolutely hated. Nowadays, it's like, not so much.
That's
Dave and I were literally running through the Yankees and Astros rosters.
Yeah, there has to be someone on the Yankees I hate. All right, I'll kick it off. My number 3.
Number 3.
I'm going Tyreek Hill. Doesn't strike me as a great guy. There's been some stories over the years, but when he's dancing with the pom-poms, looking like kind of an idiot, like I know you're blowing out Big Ben and, that team's just not that good. And you see Patrick Mahomes like carrying him off the field, like, all right, get away from here. Come on. I felt like it was like Patrick Mahomes, like telling his family, like, all right, please stop doing this. Please stop embarrassing me. This is getting to be something. So Tyreek Hill makes my number 3. Number 2.
Number 2.
Chase Claypool. Something about the dude I just don't like. I feel like Steelers fans don't really like him either, which is not a good sign when your own fan base kind of turns against you. So definitely Chase Claypool at number 2. And number 1.
Numero uno.
Sticking with the Steelers, this took me a second to remember, but Mason Rudolph, the Steelers' starting quarterback for the next few years. Mason Rudolph, very, very easy guy to not like.
Still waiting for that audio to come out from the NFL.
They have it. They
got it.
They've got Kareem Hunt's, and he during that game said they didn't have any audio. Very interesting. Don't like you, Mason Rudolph. Chris, what do you got? Power 3.
My number 3.
Number 3.
and this is a recency bias here, but watching the Cavs game today, this afternoon, and watching them play the Nets, James Harden, and I've always kind of liked his style a little bit and his dismissive way, and he's
Man.
just kind of cool. But then you see him play your team, and just some of the chicken bleep stuff that he does on the court, like, he is just a collection of chicken bleep stuff, just one after another. Like anything that you could do in the NBA right now, that's Bush League, he has gotten his repertoire, and I watched it in all its glory today. It was just maddening, Nick. So I went James Harden at my number 3.
That's a good one.
My number 2.
Number 2.
My number 2 and my number 1 are both holdovers to the LeBron days here when we were going back and forth with Golden State. Number 2 is Steph Curry. Steph Curry and his mouth guard that he's always playing with, and just the fact that everybody in America and the world seems to love this guy and what he did to us, with the exception of one, of course, 2016, and every time we met them in the championship. So still have that hatred for Steph Curry. So he's my number 2, which leads me to our number 1.
Numero uno.
Draymond Green. I mean, the enforcer there for those battles with the Cavs. It's just, he's one of those personalities I don't like. And it's a holdover from those years. Once again, I still have all this latent hatred for Golden State, and it comes out in this list. And Draymond Green is certainly one of those faces of that hatred for me.
Chris, we were just talking about this whole dynasty, and like if the Golden State Warriors weren't around, like LeBron, Kyrie would still probably be here. They would have probably kicked Kevin Love out by this point, but like that team probably
Man of
would
the
have
year,
stayed
Kevin Love.
intact, yes,
Yeah.
and probably won multiple championships. But we wouldn't have the team that we have today, so we'll take it.
There we go. There we go.
Nick, top 3. What do you got?
Yeah, you queued me up perfect, Dave. My number 3.
Number 3.
I'm going to go with Kevin Durant, the player that
Oh,
cost
that's
the Cavs the dynasty. I was going to have James Harden on this list. I don't like the way that he plays the game. Chris said everything that there is to be said, but Kevin Durant pulled one of the softest moves of all time. He joined a 73-9 win basketball team after he blew a 3-1 lead in a conference championship series to that same exact team. And if he doesn't do that, maybe the Cavs find established dominance over the Warriors, and that whole, rivalry is flipped on its head, where the Cavs win multiple of those championships with potentially Kyrie and LeBron together, and not just LeBron by himself. So Kevin Durant will eternally, I feel like, make this list for me forever. That's my number 3.
Ruined basketball.
Ruined it. My number 2.
Number 2.
Well, this one hurts me a little bit, and I don't hate the player. I don't hate the person. I hate the situation.
You hate the
And he's-
game?
He's on
I
your
was waiting
TV.
for him to say that.
Yeah.
He's on your
He doesn't
TV.
hate the player. He hates the game.
He's on your TV, guys, right now. And it is Odell Beckham Jr. I hate that he requested the trade this offseason with the coach of the year, with the one of the league's hottest QBs, and he really never wanted to be in Cleveland, guys. Let's face it. And we've learned now in the Baker wars and the post-mortem of said wars that it wasn't Odell's fault, it wasn't Baker's fault, but just the way that whole thing ended. Odell still finds his way number 2 on this list for me.
Interesting. Okay.
My number 1.
Numero uno.
I can't believe that you guys didn't have this guy on any of your lists. I'm going with Lamar Jackson. In a AFC North where the Pittsburgh Steelers don't really have an answer currently at quarterback, and the Cincinnati Bengals have one of the most likable guys on planet Earth in Joe Burrow, you have Mr. Confident, Mr. Cocky, Mr. Swagger, Mr. My mother is going to negotiate my contract for me, Lamar Jackson. So he's number 1 on my list. He's the Ravens quarterback. I will sports hate whoever is the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. So Lamar Jackson and all of his fans who hate me very much finds his way at number 1 on my
Yeah,
list.
Hey, they came after you that one time.
They came after me. I received some of the nastiest DMs after that. That was just a throwaway comment that I made on one of these shows, and man, they took that and they ran with it, didn't they? But here I go again. Lamar Jackson's number one on my list. I don't care.
There you go. And
Well,
that
Josh
is
mentions-
Power Rank Monday. All right, let's move into our featured interview of the week. We're bringing in Mary Kay Cabot. Let's get it going. All right, on the Labatt Blue Hotline, Brown's a beat writer for Cleveland.com, the plain dealer, analyst for WKYC, and Pro Football Hall of Fame selector, Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How you doing?
We're good. We're good. So Reflog put it out there for fan questions today. The most popular question that came in from Brown's Twitter: why are you the way that you are?
You want an answer to that?
No, not really.
So, be more specific. I mean, I don't
It's
know
a
what that
Michael
means.
Scott meme. Michael Scott meme. Yeah, so to put that into perspective, so there seems to be a disconnect from the local media and some of the fans, especially on Twitter, at times. Why do you think that is?
Well, is Chris? You're on here, right?
Oh yeah, I'm right here. Hello, Mary
Yeah.
Kay.
So you know what? So
There he is.
one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because, and do I call you? What do I call you? Chris? Reflog? What do
You can call me whatever you want to. The head of the Reflog army, I think.
Yeah, the reflog. Okay. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because, Chris and I have reflog, and I have some history with, with some of this kind of stuff, and I feel like if maybe we kind of walk through our story a little bit, then I think maybe people might understand a little bit more about some of the crap that I take on Twitter. I think some of the things that we've gone through may have something to do with that, and some of it might have to do with the fact that I don't know that everybody really reads as much anymore what we really actually write, or if maybe they're reading an aggregation of what we write, like the Baker column that I wrote, the clickbait column. I don't know if anybody actually really read it. It was behind a paywall. I don't know that Baker read it, but what I do think people saw were some of the aggregations of what I wrote. And sometimes people will give me crap for things that have nothing to do with what I really wrote. So that's one of those things. But I just wanted, Reflog and I to kind of tell our little story and our little history of how we arrived at the place where we are at now, where I'm kind of willing to sit down and do this podcast and have a little bit of fun with it.
So I listened to your podcast that you did on Cleveland.com, and you were describing the situation a little bit. And the way that you characterized it was that you had blocked me on Twitter, and then I became insanely angry about that situation. And do you think that's really accurate to what what my feelings were about that block at that time? I was kind of curious because when I was listening to that, I was like, I don't recall being very angry, and I don't think even when we talked that I was particularly angry with you, but you certainly characterized it as I was very, very upset at that time.
Well, I know that that you were very bothered by the fact that I blocked you, which I had no idea that was a thing, that was an issue until one day when one of my daughter's friends was over, and she said, and I said, God, I wonder why, everybody's there's so much vitriol on Twitter and, in my comments and stuff like that. And he said, oh, it's Reflog. He kills you all the time. He's just constantly out there killing you and destroying you and trying to make you look bad. And I was like,
So it's
really?
all my fault.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's all your fault. It's not all your fault. But anyways, you do have 350,000 followers. And so I kind of filed that away. I'm thinking, oh, I had no idea, no idea that this was happening, because for some reason I had blocked you some years before and and I didn't realize that that this became a thing. So some years went by, and one of my friends who had done a story on you talked to you about, kind of the grief that I was taking, and on your feed and from a lot of your followers. And he said, he wants you to unblock him. He wants to be unblocked. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that this was a big deal. And the reason why I do block people sometimes is because, if you're out there trying to provide content and you're working hard and trying to, just, break news and whatever else, to be disrespectful to a person that is trying to do a job and to provide a service, it just doesn't sit well with me. So I block people that are abusive.
We were talking before the show, Dave and I, and we were trying to set an over under a number of people you have blocked. Mary Kay, how many do you think you have blocked right now?
We set it at 1,000.
Yeah, we were thinking like 1,000.
I don't even know. I don't even know, but I will say that here's the thing. Nowadays, we don't have to leave our mentions open. And I know people that don't leave their mentions open. You can easily turn those off so nobody has an opportunity to comment on your stories. But I don't want to do that. I think half the fun of Twitter is that it's the dialogue, it's the discourse, it's the back and forth, it's the give and take. But when it becomes abusive, and as you guys know, it often becomes really abusive for female sports writers, like really bad. I mean, do I deserve to be called the C word 25,000 times because I wrote a column about Baker Mayfield saying that he should work his issues out with his head coach? I mean, do I need my daughters to see that? Do I need my son to see that? Did I need them to see that kind of stuff while they were growing up? No. So therefore, if I'm, going to practice, making observations, breaking stories, which I still try to do whenever I can, and I'm providing a free service, like complaining about the free food, it's like, if you're providing a free service, which now we actually have people that do pay for texts and things like that. But when you're providing people with information and working hard, and I've got a very strong work ethic that was instilled in me by my very, very, very hardworking parents, and I'm out here working hard. If anybody hasn't noticed over all these years, and so when I'm doing that, I just don't feel that being abused and being called names it's just like, why should you be allowed to get my information? I mean, why should you be able to see that if you're going to call me names? Now, if you want to say, you know what, I completely disagree with you, and I think that you're wrong about this player, and I think that, your opinion is, bad, and, we just have to agree to disagree, I can take that any day of the week. It's the abusive stuff that I will block for. And there's plenty of it.
And Mary Kay, I think here's another part of it that goes untalked about. And I think a big part of it is just sheer media literacy, where people, I've seen it, far and wide, people accuse you of making things up and what really are sources. And as somebody that studied journalism and put, kind of chunk of my life into this as well, I understand that that's really not just something that you can do. So could you please explain for people, obviously without naming any names, how that process works and how that the stuff that you're putting out there and then the news that you're breaking isn't just pulled out of thin air?
Yes, I definitely want to explain that, but let me just very quickly wrap up the story between Reflog and I, because I think we've arrived at a place of professional respect, and I think we did it in the right way. And I would like, I don't know, I guess there's a part of me that wishes that there could be better communication in the world, more professionalism, and just people, just being it's going to sound so Pollyanna, but just, how about kindness and respect and humanity and all those great things? I mean, that's who I am. And I know that's who Reflog is as well. So
Kumbaya, right
yeah,
there.
exactly. And I know this
Starting
is
off
really
the new year, new off season for the Cleveland Browns. Kumbaya. I'm right there with
and again, I know that there's a personas and things like that, but still, I just wanted to say that I picked up the phone and I called him and we had a conversation and we talked about, work ethic and hard work and daughters and, just a lot of different things about, how I do my job and why wouldn't I have maybe blocked someone along the way and why would I maybe unblock, and I've unblocked some people too.
at least one. You didn't unblock the show though, which was kind of funny. So we were trying to put out promos for the show, and you still got the show blocked. The show
Oh,
that you
okay,
were
I'll
on.
unblock the show. I like
It's just kind of fun.
didn't even know, but anyways, half the time I'm just trying to get bologna and toilet paper into the house, right? In addition to covering the Browns a million hours a day, I've also raised 3 children
Yeah.
throughout all of this. So, it's it's a lot. But anyways, it's all good. So the question about, yes, making things up. Let me give you a few examples of things, okay? And this
For
might
sure.
help people to understand.
For sure. I think this is big. I think this is something that should probably be taught in public schools in the year 2022, like understanding this process.
Yeah, and first of all, they just don't let you keep this job for 30 years if you're going around making things up. And I think you guys could see during the Baker Mayfield clickbait situation that you probably saw that I had a lot of national people coming to my defense. And you don't get that kind of support nationally if you haven't done, some things right over the years. So let me just say real quick, let me give you a few examples about these kinds of things. So let's go back to David Njoku last year, right around the trade deadline. And if you recall, maybe you don't, but if you recall, I wrote a story saying that David Njoku still wanted to be traded, right?
Yep.
Do you remember that? Okay. So I said David still wanted to be traded, and that was according to sources or a source, whatever. I can't remember if I had one source for that or more, but it was source. And so David came out, he saw that,
Right.
and he came out right away and he came out and said, I never told her that. And so then the Twitter universe rained down upon me that I made up this information and that once again, there I went stirring the pot, right? Well, let me just say that I'm not going to get too specific about my source, but let's just say that it was a source close to the situation. And I don't want to get any more specific than that, but a source very close to the situation, very, very close to the situation told me that. And, they kind of, again, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but David wanted out.
Feel free. You can do that. I don't mind.
We do it all the time.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
But David wanted out. Okay. David wanted out, but David was right. And he was not the one that told me that, but it was somebody else that told me that. And, and they had a plan. Okay. They had an agenda. They had a plan. They wanted him out. So I wrote that. So David goes ahead and just, brings the wrath of Twitter world upon me. And, and I think I quote tweeted him or replied and said something like, he's telling the truth. He's right. He did not tell me that. But of course, I can't rat out my sources. So I wasn't about to say who it was. Right. Well, anyways, then, so, I'm the horrible person that makes things up, blah, blah, blah. So then we get to a couple months later, fast forward that year to the Super Bowl, and David Njoku goes on with Jim Rome. And he says, oh, yeah, I was unhappy. I wasn't seeing eye to eye with the Browns. I wrote this whole story, word for word, Jim's interview with David Njoku. By the way, I had been very good to David Njoku before that. In fact, when he was in Freddie Kitchen's doghouse, he opened up to me about how bad that was and how hurtful that was and how he needed to rehabilitate things and how he would not come back if Freddie was coming back and all that kind of stuff. So he goes and he tells Jim Rome, yeah, I wasn't seeing eye to eye. I wasn't happy. I was mad that they signed Austin Hooper and drafted Harrison Bryant, and I wasn't getting the ball. And Jim Rome said, well, do you want to come back in 2021? And he was like, I don't know. I just don't know if I want to. So that whole story corroborated what I wrote, right? I mean,
Yep.
I was right with what I wrote, and I was right at the time. And then there's one more little addendum to that one, because there's more like this. But the addendum to that one is, I thought, sometime in the off season, I'm just going to go straight to David and ask him, because that's what we should do. I mean, you want to go straight to the person and ask them, hey, are you happy? Do you want to be back? How are things going? So I DM'd him. I'm like, oh, okay. His DMs were open, and I DM'd him and just said, hey, David, I saw this stuff, whatever, just want to make sure you want to be back and just want to talk to you, whatever. So he screenshotted our DM exchange and put something with it like, oh, do you want to play, some video game that he was trying to, I don't know, he had some endorsement. And so he used that opportunity to, to try to make me look bad. Now, what was my wrong part in all of that? Anything? Something? Go ahead. I mean, I can take it. What did I do wrong in all that?
For Njoku?
Yeah, that whole Njoku story. What did I do?
Doesn't sound like anything in that case.
So the next time I saw David Njoku, the next time I actually saw him in person was at a charity event in November. I think it was, yeah. And where I just had him one-on-one, where I could just ask him a question one-on-one, not in a weird formal setting. And I said, David, I said, why did you do that to me? I said, I feel like you owe me an apology for that. I said, like, that wasn't cool. And he was like, oh, what? And I was like, screenshotting a DM where I was just professionally trying to ask you from your own, in your own words, what that was all about. And he was like, oh, well, I needed to get some attention for, this video game. And I'm like, okay, all right. There you
He's
go.
using you to market his video game.
Yeah, so he used me to market his video game. And but I did tell him like right to his face. I was like, well, you owe me an apology for that. And because he knows on some level that I have never done him wrong. I have never, ever, ever done him wrong. And when some people, perhaps even his camp, somebody's camp, wanted something out about him wanting to get traded,
They came to you.
Let's just say they came to me. But anyway.
So where's he at right now? I mean, he says he loves Cleveland. Does he still want out?
No.
Curious.
No, he wants to be here, and they want him to
What's
be
been the biggest change? Obviously we've had regime change and things like that, but what's been the biggest change that he now just seems to embrace the city?
Because they showed that they believed in him. Andrew Barry drafted him, and Andrew Barry likes him as a player and believes in him and still thinks he has upside, and he's still young. He's 26 years old. And they still think that he can be a number 1 or number 2 tight end, and he keeps getting better every year. And that's the other thing. I never, all year, dating all the way back to training camp of this summer, I never, of course, never, because I never would. I'm professional. I never let what he did to me impact anything that I wrote about him. Starting in training camp, and you can go back and look it up, anything that I ever wrote about him, I said he was the most dangerous tight end they have on the roster, that I believe that he is capable of at least 8 tight end touchdown catches a season. I had people laughing at me for that, but I do believe it. And so, of course, you don't let that impact when you are a professional. You don't let those kinds of things impact how you cover a person. And there's another distinction that people, I think, need to understand, because the lines are so blurred anymore. There's regular journalism where, I tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's team journalism where it's just the good. And then there's some fan journalism too. And that's okay too. None of it's bad and none of it's good. It's just different. And some
of the fan journalism is pretty bad, actually.
Well, I mean, maybe
I'll disagree with you there.
But the point is that I'm, old school, and where I'm going to write a column and I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Myles Garrett talked after a game and said something about sideline adjustments, and I think that maybe that would have been better kept in-house. So maybe somebody else, like fan journalism wouldn't write that, and team journalism wouldn't write that, but there's still,
Right.
the old school journalists, we do write that. I want to give you another example real quick, if you will allow me to. And I would like to talk about the Baker thing too. I mean, why not? I talked about it on my own podcast. So, I mean, we should talk about that because that was a pretty big deal.
I'm dying to hear the Baker stuff.
Yeah,
Because
I
it was
mean-
not only Baker, but you had a few people come after you after that. So I
Yes,
want to speak
yes,
your
and
thoughts on
we can break them down one by one. But I just want to, and I just want to give you like one more super quick story about how some things get twisted a little bit. So I had an issue with Cam Hayward. Was that only last season? I guess it was last season. And so Cam Hayward, in a press conference said, "We're going to make Baker Mayfield think about that rib injury." And so, I think I wrote a story about it, when he said it. We are going to make Baker Mayfield think about that rib injury.
Right.
So then during the game, Cam like fell on top of him or did something. And I think I tweeted something like, Cam Hayward, who said, we were going to make him think about that rib injury, sacked Baker or whatever. So Cam came out afterwards. It came out like and quote tweeted me and said, I never said that. I never said that. Well, I had a video. I used the video with my story showing him actually saying those words. But he said, I never said that. I'm like, okay. So Cam unwittingly or wittingly, however you want to look at it, brought the wrath of Twitter down upon me. And I had, you make things up and you're a liar and you said this and you said that. And I'm like, well, no, he actually said that. But and this story I think I also told on a podcast. The PR director of the Steelers, Burt Loughton, he's an amazing PR director. He's very professional. And so he was willing to get Cam and I on the phone. And Cam is a very cool guy, went to Ohio State, just a really great guy, does a lot in every community, does some stuff here, does things in Pittsburgh. His wife is from North Olmsted. And of course he's a Buckeye, and that's a cool thing. But anyway, so we got on the phone and we talked about it. And Cam said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I said it, and I should not have said that I didn't say it. And he apologized to me, and he deleted the tweet, and we went on our merry way. So that was that one, and sometimes that's just how these things happen. But I mean,
So
let's
fast forward to now. You have
let's go to
Baker.
Baker.
Baker coming after you. You write the article. He
Mhm.
says you're basically making clickbait, and he's saying that you're using him to put food on your table. And by the way, what kind of food are you putting on the table? What are you serving there on the Baker story?
Well, that's what I tried to have a little bit of fun with that, and in my in one of my response when we did the podcast talking about this, I said I talked on the podcast how my son, who's about Baker's age, by the way, and that's why I sort of have an appreciation for the age group. Like, I was kidding around. I'm like 20 somethings. I can handle 20 somethings. I have 3 of them myself, and I understand the age group, and I can battle with a 20 something. Like, I've got this. But anyway, so my son, who is about Baker's age, he wanted to tweet out, hey, Baker, I've got news for you. My mom hasn't put food on the table in 25 years. So, we wanted to have a little bit of fun with that. And, and we tried to. But on Twitter, if you are in a situation where, everybody thinks has you in a certain box, then you can't even try to have fun. You can't even try to be funny. You can't make a joke. You can't do you can't do anything like that, because people have decided, nope, she's something. And so anyways, so I was trying to have a little bit of fun with that. And and I thought that was kind of funny. But anyways, so the whole Baker thing, I still don't think Baker read that column. I don't think Baker read that column, because I'll tell you what, that column was so pro Baker, it's not even funny. It's just, I mean, and most people probably didn't read the column, because for the past, I don't know how many ever months, I have been trying to tell people, look, it's not just the harness. It's the left tackle problems. It's the right tackle being injured. It's Kareem Hunt being out. It's Odell bolting town. It's a receiving core that, for whatever reason, is not performing the way anybody expected this year. Look at all he's got on his plate. And all of that was in that column as well. I said,
So do you think Baker was coming after you just personally? Do you think he just saw the column, saw something, read the
No.
headline, said,
I
Mary Kay
think-
Cabot, I'm coming after her because she's Mary Kay Cabot?
No, because Baker usually answers my questions very respectfully, and no, he doesn't usually do that to me. So I think he saw the aggregation, and people were pulling out in paragraph like 27. I said, if basically the headline of the column was that Baker Mayfield needs to work through his issues with Kevin Stefanski so that they can find a path forward. Because when I sat down to try to figure out what I wanted to write about Baker Mayfield after that horrible game in Pittsburgh, when most people were writing him off and most people were saying he sucked and most people were saying he's gone and he's never going to play for the Cleveland Browns again, I sat there and I really thought hard about what I wanted to say and what I knew. And in conversations that had gone on for 7 weeks and 8 weeks about what was going on with Baker Mayfield, these are things that I gathered through a lot of conversations, and that he had some issues with, some of the play calling, which a lot of people had issues with the play calling this season, but that he had issues with some of the play calling, didn't always feel like he was being put in the best position to succeed. And so my column basically stated that he needed to work through those issues with Kevin Stefanski so that they could find a path forward. And in the event that it just seemed like it wasn't going to work out between them, that I said he might consider, or that he would consider, asking to be traded. And why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? If he thought that he wasn't going to be put in positions to succeed, and he's going into the last year of his contract, and he wasn't going to look as good as he believes he can look on the football field, and he's got a very strong team around him, a very strong entourage around him in the same way that Odell Beckham Jr. does, why wouldn't they put their heads together and say, you know what, if you guys aren't going to make a long-term commitment to Baker Mayfield right now, and think the climate and the environment might not be perfect for him next year to the point where he can really succeed, then maybe we should both think about a change of scenery. What is so crazy about that?
Do you think Stefanski wants Baker?
Yeah, I think that the Browns would like to have a better Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield would like to have a better situation to flourish in. So that's what I think. But I also think that, yes, they did need, and they had it. They had their meeting. Now, everybody can call it just a routine exit meeting, if that's what they want to call it.
Exit interview, yeah.
But when your quarterback in the season finale calls you out the way that Baker, not calls you out specifically, but questions why you would have left James Hudson on an island out there, and why, hey, this is the NFL, you have to make sideline adjustments. Well, that right there, if nothing else had happened the whole rest of the season, that requires a little extra conversation. Okay. I mean, it just does. That's going to require a, like, you know what, we don't talk like that publicly because that isn't good for perception and for other people and those kinds of things. So it was the second time that he had questioned Kevin Stefanski's play calling. It was the second time. And we know the first time was after the Ravens victory, where he said, we got too conservative, or we got too conservative. So therefore, you know that there's a bit of a disconnect there. Even if I didn't have sources telling me that for 7 weeks, there was something. Okay. It wasn't nothing.
Do you think that the front office, that Andrew Berry, do you think that they believe in Baker?
I do. I think that they believe in Baker. I think that they believe that this was a down year for him. And I think that they recognize They have to recognize all of those other things that I have been pointing out for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And I defy anybody to say that I didn't try to show what this young man had been going through all season, because every single time I sat down at the computer, I put all of those things into every column or story that I wrote, because I do believe it myself. It's really hard to run your offense when you've got one tackle that is not himself because of an ankle injury, and a right tackle who missed most of the season, and Kareem Hunt not being there, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. No deep threat so that they can stack the box, because you can't stretch the offense. You can't stretch the defense. Like you can't hit a deep ball. I mean, you've got Donovan Peoples-Jones playing X. You've got Anthony Schwartz out with concussion. I mean, a lot of things went wrong. And I think that the Browns believe that if they can make a lot of those things right, that you're going to have a better Baker Mayfield. And I do believe that too. I really, really do believe that. And so that column, that was not an anti-Baker column by any stretch of the imagination. The part that got him, I believe, and maybe that other people took and sort of ran with a little bit and put some headlines on. I didn't put a headline on that. My headline was, he needs to work things out with this coach so that they can find a path forward. That was my point.
Now, after Baker
but,
called you, after Baker
things,
called you,
Yeah, go ahead, Mary Kay.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I saw headlines that were like, Baker's going to ask to be traded. I mean, even at the game the next day, the sideline reporter said, well, I asked Baker, is it true that you asked to be traded? Like past tense. Like somehow it turned into Baker asked to be traded. And that was nowhere near anything close to what I wrote. So
Mary Kay, what was it that you wrote in the article? Because I think that was like one of the biggest issues, you're right, that people had with it. Was it that you said he would ask for a trade, or was it not put that way? Because I guess asking like, okay,
it wasn't not that way. It wasn't put that way. And then the column was behind the paywall. So, I mean, did Baker go behind the paywall and read it? I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he subscribes. Maybe he's an insider subscriber to our insider stuff. Maybe
he gets your text.
You get your text to know what's
Maybe
going on.
Maybe he does. Hopefully he does. But anyways, so no, I doubt that he read it. I think he read, there was like a couple headlines, Baker has so many issues with Kevin Stefanski, he's going to ask to be traded. And that's not what I wrote. I said, if they can't arrive at a path forward and a place that everybody feels comfortable with, he would consider asking to be traded. Now,
but to be fair, I mean, that is kind of putting words in his mouth, because you don't know if he would ask. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
I think
it was a sourced column. So
okay.
So I maybe at the top I said I had been talking to sources. So I don't feel I don't feel bad about that. I mean, what I'm saying is I 100% stand by that, because if they couldn't come to arrive at a place of, this is going to be good for you next year, and we're going to do things that you feel good about, and we're going to have things around you, and there are going to be better receivers, and you're going to have better protection, and we're going to do more play action or rollouts or whatever. Like, if they couldn't get to that place where everybody can feel good about the path forward, then there wouldn't be a path forward.
Right.
I mean, they already haven't offered him a contract extension. So obviously everything is not, there is a little trouble in paradise if they have gotten to this point and there is no, talk of a contract extension. Now, maybe I think the Browns really want it to work out and believe that it will. I think they still believe that he is the guy. I do still think they believe that. But they still have to continue to communicate and to clear the air and to work through their issues. And I mean, that's what I wrote. And, I don't know. I mean, I actually thought, well, maybe I'll open up the column for a few days and let people actually see what I wrote. But, like I said, sometimes you get in a no-win situation. It's like, time to move on.
So after you put out those comments and Baker has his say about it, then you had like the floodgates of former players kind of jumping on and piling on you. You had Brandon Whedon, Derek Anderson, Deshaun Kaiser, Johnny Manziel.
Oh,
even
Johnny said something?
Yeah, Johnny came back.
Manziel came out with something. Yeah, it was Dave. It was kind
What
of
did he
derivative.
say?
Yeah, I forget
Well,
exactly what it was. But he was
everyone was looking for him to make a comment, right, Mary Kay? Because everyone else was coming
Yeah.
to Baker's defense. So naturally, Johnny Manziel started trending because it was like, oh, where's Johnny's comment? When's Johnny going to say something? And surely enough, he sparked up and said that, the Browns were trash or something, and he was going to enjoy his martini, something along the lines of that.
Yeah, that's what
And that's fine. So, all right, well, let's break it down for a minute. Okay, so let's start with
Take these characters one by one. I'm
One by one.
interested to see your
The
take.
Muniverse. The Muniverse.
All right,
That's
so
right.
first of all, with Johnny Manziel, like
Johnny Manziel.
the first, I knew within the first 2 weeks he was in Cleveland that he had issues with. I don't want to take his inventory, but it was obvious that he needed some help. Okay, and I knew that right away, and I started writing, kind of alluding to those kinds of things. And at one point, I was worried about him just because, like I said, I have 3 20-somethings myself, and I care about these guys, and I care about them as people, and I care about their well-being. And I remember I would say to the team, or I would say to people, like he's not right, something's not right. Well, finally I said something to it. I tried to say something to his dad. I'm like, I think he's in trouble. And his dad did not want to hear that from me. He absolutely did not want to hear that from me. And that's fine.
How did that conversation go? I can imagine that wasn't well received on his part from what I've heard.
No, not at all. I mean, that was even in a text where I said, well, I'm concerned. I think he needs, the people around him to support him or something like that. And it was not well received, and that's fine. I mean, and I've done that with other players too. If I see a player that I think is in trouble, like with Josh Gordon, there were times when I told the team, I think Josh is in trouble again. Something's not right with him. He's not okay. And and occasionally I have done that just because there's just a humanity aspect to the job. And like I said, I try to do things the right way. So now with Baker, okay. So that's the Johnny. I mean, Johnny was Johnny. I mean, what could, there was nothing anybody could do. He was in a bad place. He was in a bad place. And I hope when I watch his Instagram now, I hope that he's going to be okay. I really want him to be okay. He's a cool young man. I never had any, one-on-one personal problems with him at all. And I, just like I feel about everybody else that I ever cover, I want them to be okay as people. Okay. So that's Johnny.
Brandon Whedon.
Okay. So here's the backstory with Brandon Whedon. All right. Colt McCoy. I covered Colt McCoy. I did the whole, I talked to Colt McCoy's dad.
We've got that book. Dave, you've got the book in the background there.
Growing Up Colt.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's a collector item.
I got that thing for $1 at Ollie's back a couple of years ago, and I gave out some copies, and Dave got one of those. So, yep, we're familiar with Colt and his dad here on the show.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so Colt was put back into the Steelers game after he had a concussion.
Yeah.
And Colt's dad, somebody said, hey, Colt is he's going for an MRI today. He's going for a brain scan. He has a concussion. And, this was a source that told me this. He said, but I can't be your source on this. You have got to go find somebody else that's going to actually tell you this, because I'm just giving you a tip. So don't write it right now. You got to go get a source. So I called everybody that I could think of connected with Colt. And then I got his dad on the phone, and I said, hey, I'm hearing that Colt has a concussion. And his dad just kind of like went off, and he said, that's true. They put him back in the game with a concussion, and it never should have happened, and blah, blah, blah. So I wrote it, and it wasn't off the record or anything. It was on the record, and it was out there. And then after it came out, he was like, "Oh, you know, I don't want that out there. Can you,
Put the
take that,
toothpaste back in the tube. How does
take
that work?
put that toothpaste back in the tube for me."
Can you hit undo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Delete,
Yeah, on the internet.
delete that. But it was too late. And so I mean, I might have changed a few things or softened a few things, or I don't know. But for the most part, it was out there, and there's nothing you can do about it at that point. And so the Browns really held that against Colt McCoy. I mean, they held that against Colt McCoy at that time. It was Mike Holmgren. I mean, he chewed me out for that so bad. I mean,
Holmgren did?
Oh yeah.
That's like the only thing he did then. I mean, because he didn't do much as a GM. Was the only thing he did in Cleveland was chew you out?
Mary Kay, was that a phone call? Was that like in the locker room?
No, that was like hallway getting screamed at. That was just like, we are gonna, yeah. And he, I mean,
I
it was
just
bad.
picture that in his Tommy Bahama shirt.
It was
coming down the
bad,
hall.
and like I'm not a large individual, and he is, and it was just like, wow, like this is not good.
Over Colt McCoy.
Over
I just
Colt.
picture him in a golf cart, like driving by you, just like yelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was so. Anyways, so
So did Colt hold it against you for that entire thing?
No, he was a
No.
very cool guy. He did not, absolutely did not. So Colt, was it that year? Well, anyways, he did these Camp Colts down in Austin, Texas. You might remember those.
Yep.
And he invited me to come down and cover one of the Camp Colts. And he spent all this money, and he got, he paid for all these young guys to come down to Camp Colt. And he invited me to come down so that I could, be a part of that and watch it and interview guys and stuff like that. And that was really cool. And so I believed that he deserved a chance to try to be the quarterback. I didn't think they should hold his dad's words against him. Okay. And it was very evident. And that was Pat Shermer during those years too. And it was evident that I believed that Colt should still have a chance. Well, he didn't get a chance. They gave the chance to Brandon Weeden.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brandon Weeden did not like the fact that, it was just that I was in support of Colt getting that chance. I mean, I could go back and look at everything I've ever written about Brandon Weeden. I don't ever remember writing anything bad about Brandon Weeden. What I do remember is being in support of Colt still getting a chance and the Browns not holding his father's words against him. And I don't think Brandon liked that. I never wrote anything bad about Brandon. So that's Brandon. I was a Colt guy, and he didn't like that.
He didn't like that.
Okay, so that's Brandon.
Derek Anderson.
I don't remember ever. Once again, I don't usually write bad things about a player. And I wasn't even like, now I do a lot of analysis and a lot of columns and a lot of opinion. And back then I was just writing a story. If Derek Anderson says, oh, we're going to go out and beat the Steelers, I'm just writing Derek Anderson says we're going to beat the Steelers. So it wasn't like Derek Anderson sucks and he shouldn't be starting. Like, I wasn't writing columns back then. So I have no idea what his problem was. I don't remember ever writing anything bad about Derek Anderson. But I do know that Derek and Brandon and a lot of these quarterbacks landed in Cleveland at the height of dysfunction of the Cleveland Browns, right? And it's probably a little bit easier to perhaps blame that on the media than it is to say, well, maybe I just wasn't good enough. Or, his contract got terminated and he went off after that. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You remember Derek Anderson saying the Browns fans don't deserve a winner, and I can't wait to roll them when I come back?
Yeah,
Because
that never really happened.
Okay,
really
so,
happened. Did not crystallize.
So he said that, and then he had to come out and apologize for that at the urging of the club, shall we say. So, was it my fault that he got terminated? I'm like, okay.
How about Deshaun Kaiser?
Deshaun Kaiser, that one was puzzling. And all he said was preach, and he was backing up Brandon. Backing up Brandon. Yeah. Well, anyways.
The quarterback club all against you.
Jeez. A star-studded lineup, too, might I add. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
sorry. Go ahead, Mary. I'm sorry.
Well, back when Tim Couch was the quarterback, and Tim would be the first to tell you this. Like, I really tried to give Tim every opportunity in the media possible to get people on his side,
Yeah.
to make sure that people understood what he was going through, just like I've tried to do with Baker. Like, look what Baker's going through, everyone. Like, I've really tried to do that this season. And I tried to do that with Tim Couch. He was on a stupid, horrible, awful expansion team trying to be out there getting his butt kicked. And it was bad. And so I was very much in support and always trying to help him. And he knows that. He would come on here today and tell you the same thing. Same thing with Colt McCoy. Why would Colt McCoy invite me down to Austin to cover a Camp Colt? If you know what I mean? Like, those kinds of things just don't happen unless you have good relationships with people. And so Colt would come on here and tell you the same thing. Trent Dilfer would come on here and tell you. I mean, I sat with Trent Dilfer when he came to Cleveland and did the story 1 year after his young son died. It was just heartbreaking. And, I always try to tell these guys stories because guess what? I care about their stories. Like I said before, I care about them as people. I care about their stories. And I do try to tell their stories as often as I can. That's why Greedy Williams, when it came time for Greedy Williams, like, he totally opened up to me about how he went into a depression and how hard it was for him to be out of football for that whole year and how he didn't know if he was ever going to play again. And he really, he appreciated that. And when Kareem Hunt was out of football for a year and came back, I had a wonderful one-on-one interview with him where he opened up about how hard that was. And he, just how he never thought he might ever make it back onto the football field. And those are the kinds of stories that I really like to tell because I think it gets the fans behind the players. And I like to do that because they deserve that. I mean, they're out there working their asses off. So I have so many more of those guys than I do. Deshaun Kaiser.
We're originally talking about Deshaun Kaiser.
Okay, let me give you Deshaun Kaiser. So Deshaun shows up on the doorstep, and I did a takeout on Deshaun where I talked to his high school coaches. I talked to some college coaches. I talked to his dad, who was like one of the coolest guys that you could ever want to talk to. And I talked to Deshaun. And the focus of the story was how, he's his mom is white, his dad is black, and how he had to straddle two worlds. And he was, and the challenges of growing up, and trying to be different things to different people and how difficult that was. So I wrote that takeout, and then I covered Deshaun in a, as positive way as you can when you're going 0-16 or 1-15 or whichever one he was. And
so why the animosity now?
I don't know. I would never have any idea because I had a really nice relationship with Deshaun when he was here. And that story, which, you can Google it. It's out there.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's behind the paywall. But that story is out there. Just me telling Deshaun's story, which once again, I like to do. I sat down with Jamie Collins once. Jamie Collins has never opened up to anybody. Never. The writers in New England were like, how the hell did you get that story? And I don't know, because I think that players sense that I do care about their stories and I do care about them as people and that I'm going to handle their story with care. And Jamie Collins opened up to me about how his parents both died when he was like really, really young. And he was raised by his sister. And when he had to figure out how to be a man and how a dad talks to a son, he had to overhear like people in a convenience store, like a dad talking to his son. And that's how he knew that worked. And just, really, really cool stuff. So there's so much more of that. And I don't know why Deshaun Kaiser would come out and preach like that when, like I said, I tried to tell people, show people what he was all about and kind of get them on the Deshaun bus, get them rallying for him. And so I don't know why he did that. I mean, I would like to know. I would like to know why did he say that? Why would he do that? I don't think he was raised that way. I know his father would not have wanted him to do something like that. I can pretty much guarantee it. And if I had to write that he was losing during those, well, he was. I mean, what can you say during 0-16?
Oh, Mary Kay,
One of
it's
the
your fault.
mysteries
It's
of the
your
universe.
fault that Deshaun Kaiser went 0-16. Mary Kay, come on.
I guess. But anyway, so, there's so many more. But here's the thing. I will tell you this. Those other guys, the Colts and the Tim Couches and the Bernie Kosars and the, all those other Brady Quinn and all those guys that I still have really, really, really good relationships with, they don't go on Twitter. They're not going to go on Twitter and say, "Oh, she's great." I mean, nobody does that. Twitter isn't a place for compliments, shall we say? Twitter isn't the place to express your gratitude for people and your joy over things.
Are you saying Twitter's negative? Come on.
Twitter's a place to get your hate on. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So,
Do
and
plenty of that. The Browns have given us plenty of reason to do that over the years too.
yeah, and you know what? So, I mean, look, if Johnny's floating around on a swan, I have to write that Johnny's floating around on a swan. I mean, like, what can I do, right? If Johnny's, in the bathroom doing something that he's not supposed to be doing, then, I might have to write about, Johnny's doing some things he shouldn't be doing right now. If Josh Gordon is out, doing things he shouldn't be doing,
The
I
good
mean, it
old,
was just a lot of
good old days of the
dysfunction.
Cleveland Browns. God, these memories.
Yeah.
Coming back
mean-
of all this fun.
And last year, when when Baker was throwing 20 touchdowns against one
Yeah.
interception down the stretch, I mean, you write all about that. You write all about the great things. I've called Lincoln Riley, write great things from Lincoln Riley. I've called Drew Stanton, and I've written amazing positive stories. Drew Stanton talking about Baker Mayfield, and I get Case Keenum on the phone, and I write Case Keenum saying amazing things about Baker Mayfield. And
Baker doesn't read any of that. Then you put it behind a paywall. So then Baker doesn't make enough money so that he can
Right.
go behind the paywall to find out, right?
Those things weren't even behind the paywall yet. I mean, those things were just, and still are out there, And that's why I think that, I don't know that people actually read the
No.
stuff anymore.
And they
I
don't.
think people just read the tweet or the headline.
Right. I
Right.
mean, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah,
The click- the
nobody's
clickbait,
reading,
to be fair,
nobody's
right?
sitting there and just dutifully reading the column and all the numbers and the statistics. And nobody's doing that. People are either reading the tweet or they are reading the aggregation and
Right.
somebody else's interpretation of what you wrote. And that's fine. That's fine, because I will tell you what, you don't get to last 30 years without having thick skin and without being tough. I mean, I stood up to Bill Belichick for 5 years. I covered Bill Belichick. Okay. That was my first assignment in covering the Browns, was to cover Bill Belichick for 5 years.
Tell us a good Bill Belichick story. I know you're running late here, and I appreciate all your time, but you got to tell us at least one good Bill Belichick story.
Well, Bill Belichick used to let me watch film with him and Casey Coleman on Monday. So he would let me sit in his office with him and Casey Coleman and go over the game film from the day before. And Bill Belichick was another one that I tried to show people that he has a human side. I talked to his wife. I did stories about what kind of family man he was and that whole sort of thing. But he let me do that. And then one time he allowed me to go on one of those draft visits where you go get on the private jet and you go on a draft visit. So it was me and Casey Coleman and Mike Lombardi, and he let me board the little team jet and go to New Jersey and do this draft visit with those guys. And we landed in New Jersey and we got in Belichick at, I don't know if he had a rental car or whatever. Like, he went and got a haircut. He was listening to all his headbanging music in the car really loud. I mean, it was bizarre, but I mean, it was just a cool experience. I got to see a different side of him because he kind of, pulled back the curtain a little bit and tried to let me see what kind of person he was. And we had some pretty knockdown, drag out conversations. If he didn't like something that I wrote, occasionally I would get a phone call at 7:00 in the morning with him yelling at me. He would call me on the phone and yell at me. And so, I mean, it's just, I have, just funny memories of some of those years because it was, it was challenging to cover him, but he was a first-time head coach. I was a first-time beat writer, and you had to get tough quick. I mean, you just had to get tough really, really super quick. So I don't. I mean, again, in the world of Twitter, I allow I allow there to be comments on my stories because I want people to have an opportunity to engage and to
Well, I
comment.
think that's important, to be honest with you. I think that's important. That engagement, that conversation back and forth is really important in the social media atmosphere, in Twitter. I know it can be rough at times, but I think that's really important for the media, as it was before, to transition into what the new media is. So I think it does serve you well to do that. And continue to do that. And, the people who don't do that, I think that they kind of fall off to the side. That's why I was kind of probing you earlier about blocking so many people. I think that there is value in, just ignoring a lot and not blocking as much. But, everybody's going to handle things, whatever way that they want to in this new media. But that conversation is ongoing,
Yes, and you know what? And I understand what you're saying, and I do get that. But sometimes back in the day, it was as simple as I don't want my kids to see this, and I think
No,
that
I get that.
you know what I mean. Like some of it was,
My kids are
yeah,
going to be pretty used to it by now. After having that whole parade,
yeah.
back in the day, I certainly saw the ugly side and everything else myself. So, I
But
mean, I've been down
you
there.
don't get called the C word, do you? Did you ever get called the C
No,
word?
but I did seriously have somebody threaten my family,
I know.
and I've had death threats and things that was one of the things, and Baker brought that up, and I kind of got a little upset at that. Like, it makes our fans look bad at a certain level where you're like, hey, I get death threats. Well, if you have any kind of standing in the
Right.
community or whatever else, you're going to get something like that, and 99% of them are absolutely nothing. The 1% is obviously a big problem, but there is a certain level where you gotta be able to put up with some of this stuff. And I'm with you. You don't want to, I don't think it's fair that you're called the word every day. And I don't think that that's something that, that needs to be happening in 2022 or hell anytime. But at the same time, I think it's important to have that conversation, keep it going. And if you don't want to, you want it to be kind of a one-way thing, which I don't think you want it to be. Then it's one thing. But if you have a two-way and a really rich dialogue with folks, I think that's what Twitter really opens up the world for, especially for,
Yeah, and I
times
enjoy it.
being
I
new.
enjoy that. I mean, I
Yeah.
can debate someone, and like this whole season, I don't think I've ever, written like even in that column that wasn't Baker sucks and he should never play for the Cleveland Browns again. It was like Baker needs
We
to
need
win
to get that soundbite. Somebody get that soundbite. There's our clickbait right there.
it. So it wasn't anything like that, and I haven't written anything like that about him this season. If I do write something about questioning whether or not he is the quarterback of the future, I support it with numbers and statistics and a lot of analysis, a lot of thorough, deep analysis on things. So I don't mind having a healthy debate. I can do that, and I like doing that.
Yeah.
The blockers are the ones that are like, when are you going to retire? Well, if you want me to retire, then you really don't need to see what I'm
Oh, just
tweeting.
ignore those people. You could just
No, I
ignore
know.
them,
No,
though.
I'm
You could
just
just
saying.
ignore them. You don't
No,
have to block them. You
no,
just
it's just
ignore those
it's
people.
the
I
abuse.
get trolls all the time. Garden variety trolls. Just put them off to the side.
No,
Forget
that's fine. I'm just saying that at some point it's not about. I guess it's more about saying, well, if you don't want the information, you're like, if I'm gonna stand out there at practice and
I
in the
know. I know.
freezing cold,
It
then
hurts the ego a little bit, but forget about those folks.
no, it's not even that it hurts the ego a little bit as much as it is. And you and I have had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Like you can't complain about the free food. I mean, it's like free information. Like I'm giving you, it's providing a service, and now people are paying us for that service, and they're paying. It's not
Not Baker though. He's not going behind the paywall.
not Baker, but you know what I mean. Like it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
you want all of this, like because I still do break news, and you guys can attest to that. I mean, that that is a lost art amongst a lot of local beat writers anymore because it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to do it. Why? Because I mean, they give everything, not everything, but they give they pretty much they give everything to the guys that have the television contract. So the Schefters and the Rappaports. I mean, like we're competing against the league for information, right? I mean, I've
Yeah.
had situations where I found out a quarterback was signing with the Browns, and I called his agent And I said, hey, I got a tip that he's on his way to Cleveland and he's signing. And he was like, oh, let me get back to you in a couple of minutes. I hung up the phone, and a national person tweeted it within seconds, because he's not allowed to give that to me.
Right.
And I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that I still work really, really, really hard to try to break news and have that millisecond, have it for the millisecond that you have it. And I don't know why. It's just because I'm old school, and that's how I was, that's how I was trained. I was trained to do that, and I still like to try to do that. So, there's part of me that's just like, well, okay, if you're gonna call me a name, then why do you get to see why should you get to see my breaking news? And I don't block everybody. It's the abuse. It's abuse gets blocked. Abuse.
Well, yeah, and you can't put up with that. I
verbal
get that.
abuse gets blocked. That's
So,
it.
so last question for you, and then I'll really get you out of here. Do you think this whole Baker Mayfield thing is going to work out in Cleveland?
I think it can. And I hope for everybody's sake that it does. Who wants to start all over again, right?
Yeah.
I think that it can, and I hope that it can for him and for everyone else. Everyone needed to get away from this and to start fresh. But it's only going to work if everybody's really committed to making it work, in ways that are conducive to bringing out his strengths. And then they need 2 or 3 really good receivers. For whatever reason, I don't see any chemistry between Austin Hooper and Baker Mayfield. And I don't know how you're going to fix that when Baker can't throw the ball until the end of April. It's not like they can go having some one-on-one time together over the next few months, but
So he's gone, you think? You think Austin Hooper's
no, and
gone?
I don't know that he's gone. I think they'll probably keep trying to make it work.
Yeah.
And
He's got to stop falling over.
Yeah. For the sake of everybody.
It's kind of an issue. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the tight ends in the NFL right now and the impact that they are making in these football games. The Mark Andrews and the Travis Kelce's and the Rob Gronkowski's. It's such an important position. And I think that for whatever reason, Baker and Austin Hooper, they need to make more of an impact together. And I think that's been one of the biggest disappointments over the last couple of years. So that's got to get better. I think they've got to find a right tackle perhaps to replace Jack Conklin in case he can't come back until October, November, December from a torn patella. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe he'll be back sooner, but things have got to get fixed around Baker.
Well, we've got a whole off season to talk about it. It might be another longest off season of all time, but we're getting kind of used to that. Mary Kay, we greatly appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Mary Kay, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It was fun.
All right. Mary Kay Cabot, everybody. Round of applause. Oh, I turned my phone down. Round of applause
on there. Come on.
There we go. Good stuff. All right. We have had our Billionaire contestant on the air watching
How
the
long
show.
has he been waiting? Yeah, that was
I know. This guy
He's been
deserves some
waiting
hints, man.
48 minutes.
Oh,
Wow.
He's going to
All
get
right.
some clues.
All right.
Let's
All right.
do it. It is time for Who Wants to Be a Billionaire? Let's go. It's time for Who Wants to Be a Billionaire. Try to give away some free Labatt Blue Lights and a GV Art shirt. This week, we welcome in King Charles to Who Wants to Be a Billionaire. Charles, how we doing, man? And thank you for hanging around.
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. Man, I felt like that was just a really cool interview. MKC definitely had a lot to say, and she really got it all out. And Chris, I got to thank you, man. I think you just there's something about you, man, that just really let a lot of stuff out for her. And
Me?
I think that was a really oh yeah. I think it's just your guys' history and everything. Yeah. I think
Chris, you are the leader of the army.
history.
I am the
She
leader
just
of
really
the
opened up.
I expect a call probably tomorrow.
What is that called? The colonel? What are you when you're a leader?
Charles was DMing me like while he's waiting. I'm like, hey man, sorry, it's going a little longer than we thought. Charles is like, this is history.
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah.
Well, she goes into like Bill
tasty.
Belichick. I'm not going to not take that bait. I've got to hear about Belichick every time. There's certain guys who I just cannot get enough of, and he's one of those guys. So, yeah, good stuff, and I'm glad you appreciate it. So, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the Belichick stuff was so cool. Like he was headbanging to music. Like that's not something
Not used to
I
that,
ever,
right? You
ever
always hear
expected.
those stories.
So
And he's actually got a personality on the backside.
It's those cutoff sleeves. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we've gone this whole show without getting to talk Cavs, and they're by far and away the best team in Cleveland right now.
Yes.
So we're
Oh my
doing
gosh.
some billionaire giveaways, hopefully Cavs trivia. Charles, how big of a Cavs fan are you? You're pretty confident with this.
I mean, I'm a pretty big Cavs fan. My knowledge on the older Cavs isn't that great. So
Oh, dude,
I'm a 90s baby. So I mean, my knowledge is really LeBron to present. But I might be surprised. I might know a couple things just from hearing other people talk.
I'm
All
going
right,
to call him. He's going to get all of these. I feel
He's got
confident on this.
in
one.
the bag. In the
Okay.
bag.
Okay.
All right, let's kick it
No
off.
pressure.
Question 1 for cash for a 6-pack of Labatt. Here we go. This offseason, current day, the Cavs sent Larry Nance Jr. to Portland in a 3-team trade. Which current starter did the Cavs receive from Chicago in that deal?
Oh, wow. He has been super clutch as of late. Just really seems to make shots in the second half and can do a little bit of everything. Got to give props for Kobe Altman getting this guy, Lauri Markkanen.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Well done,
Nice lead
sir.
up. Nice lead up there.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
you got the analysis before the answer. How often do we get that?
He's one of those players. I don't even know like what type of player is he? He makes so many great plays and then he makes kind of some questionable plays too.
I was going to say, every
just an
time I
all-
start to give him any kind of props when I'm watching a game, he'll do something that's just boneheaded. I'm
He's
like,
the
He's
new
a
Kevin Love.
super athletic Danielle Marshall.
Yeah. Like he even did something in today's game too, where it was he kind of had an over and back violation that was just
Yes.
like, man, really. And then like later on, he just drains like a clutch 3 with the guy in his face. Like, yeah, no problem. But
All right, Charles, you got a
love Lauri
6-pack.
Markkanen.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Would you like to move on for a 12-pack?
Yeah, I'm gonna need some more beer than that. So
he's
let's
got
keep
this
going.
one.
That's right.
All right, question number 2 for cash for a 12-pack of Labatt. Darius Garland is shooting 91.8% on free throws this season, which I think is second in the league or something. I think I saw that on the telecast. Only one Cavalier has ever made a higher percentage in a season. Who is it? You get this wrong, you're going to get run.
Oh, okay.
Only guy to have a higher free throw percentage than Darius Garland's 91.8.
He would go on like ungodly runs where he would just not miss. I mean,
Yeah.
Friend of
I
the
mean,
show.
Friend of show.
friend of show.
Friend of the show. Oh, jeez.
He's been
That
on the
might
show.
throw you off because you're like, okay, it's got to be a crappy player now.
Well, okay. So with,
Mac
with
Wilson,
that psychology, then it's a star of the. Is it Kyrie?
No.
All
Think
right, so-
older. Think
So
older.
you get a hint,
Older.
and you also have a lifeline where you can call someone on speakerphone, or we can call them, which we didn't know, but we can call them for you,
Okay.
and read the question to them. But here's your one hint.
Yeah.
Since you waited 48 minutes, he made a great NBA Jam duo with Brad Daugherty.
Ooh,
Also, NBA Jam is also friend of show.
Yes.
The
Boom
voice of NBA
shakalaka.
Jam on the show. That's right. Boom shakalaka. He's awesome.
Breeze on
well,
fire.
okay. So let's get
Oh,
during
come
that era, the Brad Doherty era. I mean, is it Price?
Hey now.
There it is. You got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I
Let's
cannot
go.
believe it took you that long to
Woo!
come up with one Mark Price.
Dude,
Sweat
I'm
that
sweating
one
over
out.
here. That was
Wow.
That's not my era, man. I didn't get to
Yeah.
watch those
Which
guys,
logo do you have?
so-
What do you got on the shirt there?
Oh, this
Is that
is
Fat Sean Penn?
ironically, yeah. This is kind of the throwback.
That was the old
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
tale of the
the
career.
era I
of
have
Mark.
absolutely, no idea about, but I thought I think the aesthetic is just really cool. I gotta give my girlfriend a shout out. This is actually one of her comfy sweaters, and I was like,
Nice.
yeah, I'm gonna wear this. This is so cool.
Great color scheme.
Yeah.
All right, a little bit of a hurdle there. I think you should keep going though. What do you think? You've got 12 pack.
I,
Would you like to move on for a case, or did that shock you?
wow,
Oh, dude,
wow. I
question
mean, that
3, he's
really
got.
got me. But let's keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it to him.
Waited all this time. We're not slowing down now. For cash for a 24 pack of Labatt, the Cavs played Kyrie and the Brooklyn Nets today. In 2017, Cleveland traded Kyrie Irving to Boston for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and a 2018 first-round pick. Who did the Cleveland Cavaliers draft with that first-round pick?
Oh, 2018 first round pick.
Side note: Isaiah Thomas. Remember when he said to back up the Brinks truck?
Yeah, wow, that yikes. Yeah, that didn't pay off. But you know what? It didn't really work out for anyone. So, and we were kind of forced to trade Kyrie. So, not, it's okay. Man, 28 first round pick. I mean, that's got to be Colin Sexton, right?
Ding, ding, ding.
Well done, sir. Well
Let's
done.
go. Let's go.
All right, you've got a case of Labatt Blue Lights.
Okay.
Final question. 24 pack and the GV art shirt, so you stop stealing your girlfriend's sweatshirts.
Yes,
Are you
thank
ready?
you. Yes.
All right, we're moving on. Here it is. The Cavs face the Thunder this Saturday. In 2015, Cleveland sent Dion Waiters to OKC in a 3-team trade. The Cavs received 2 key pieces of their championship team from the Knicks. In that deal, who were those 2 players?
Okay. So, one of them, one of my favorite players, one of my favorite Cavaliers of all time, the Henny God himself, J.R. Smith,
Heck yeah.
and then Iman Shumpert.
Yes, we have a winner!
Yeah.
3 in a row, boys. 3 in a row.
Woo!
Oh,
Undefeated. 2022.
I didn't want to be the one to break the streak. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
So,
now the pressure's building every week, too. So, way
Ooh.
to set the stage for the next guy.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
Charles,
my
nicely
gosh.
done, man. How badly were you sweating during that Mark Price question?
Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna lie, I was reading up on a little bit of 90s Cavs prior to this because I know my knowledge for it was just so bad. And yeah,
You would
never
have
read
known
anything
Mark
about the
Price.
free throws. Like I had no idea he was a good free throw shooter. I just know
He
he's
was
up in the
insane.
rafters and he was a very good guard for us. So I just it was my hypothesis. So
Dave,
it
we're
worked
getting
out.
old, man.
I,
We're
the
getting
other
old.
Oh,
the other
Chris,
ones
we're
I didn't
so
sweat
old.
so much, but man, that one was tough. You should have saved it for last, honestly.
We're
Yeah,
having people
right.
come on
Yeah.
the show that said they didn't know that Mark Price was good at free throws.
That's all
We're
right.
too old, man. We're too old.
I'm just glad they're good again.
That's
Charles,
amazing. Good job, though. Way to
Heck
go.
yeah.
Getting all 4 of them like that. Getting the GV art shirt. Getting the beer. That's impressive. So well done. Way to keep the streak alive, my friend.
yep, and as every winner gets to do, what are your thoughts on the Cavs in kind of an unexpected season that we've had so far?
Man, the Cavs, they're playing so good right now. I gotta say, The only team in the East I think that can compete with the Cavs right now is the Bucks, and it's only because they have a freak of their own in Giannis. And outside of that, none of these guys can match up with us. We are way too strong defensively, and when we're even on bad shooting nights, we still win. This is not just a fun and great Cavs team. This is a special and elite. This is the super duper fun. Put another level. This is a special and elite Cavs team. I have not been so excited for a Cavs team since 2016. I mean, honestly, this is just really, really cool stuff that we're watching. And I think the way we have 3 7-footers in the starting lineup. I mean, we're changing basketball right now. So very excited, and definitely can't wait for the playoffs this year.
Heck yeah, man. And now you got some beer and a new shirt to go with it. Congratulations. Thanks for joining the show.
Charles.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks for having me on, guys, and wish you all the best.
Good job, man.
All right, Charles. Good stuff. Whew.
All right.
I don't know how radio guys do it, man. Like, I feel like we've been on the air for like 4 hours, but it really has only been an hour and a half.
It's true. Are we going to do headlines?
What do you think?
Let's do headlines.
Let's do headlines. All right, Cleveland headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland. Ooh, Austin Hooper. We got to update that one. New giveaways every week, including this week's giveaway. Cut out there for a second. TSECleveland.com. Go check them out. Go get some signed Cleveland sports memorabilia. All right, so we're giving away an Eric Metcalf autographed mini helmet here. The winner of that, and by the way, if you'd like to go ahead and win each week, give us a follow on Twitter, the Big Play Reflog handle, and go subscribe to the YouTube page for your chance to win. Drum roll, the winner of the Eric Metcalf mini helmet. Michael Hooper at MH Brown 82.
Austin Hooper's
Congratulations.
brother.
Yeah, go get a signed Austin Hooper jersey after you get that giveaway. Well done, sir. Well done. Go put that on the mantle in the living room. Good stuff. All right, we talked a little Cavs with Charles during that trivia. We're almost a 1 seed. Nick, we were talking about this before we went live. We have as many wins as anybody in the East. How are we getting this done?
3 words, Dave, I would say. Smart,
yes?
tough, accountable. Sound familiar? It's everything that I see with this Cavs team right now, though. They're, just playing really sound team basketball. Have you guys ever heard Austin Carr this excited to, in the last even 5 years in LeBron's last year to call these games with the sound ball movement and they find the open man? Every time Austin Carr says they found the open man, an angel gets its wings. Like the game just moves so flawlessly with these guys, and defensively they're so sound. It's like Charles just said, it's hard to poke a hole in anything that they're doing right now because any lineup that JB Bickerstaff puts out there is finding a way to work, and they're finding ways to win these ball games after, let's be real with each other. Everybody wrote them off when the Colin Sexton went down.
Nick, how much?
And again, kind of when Ricky Rubio went,
right?
People were
Yes.
like, "Uh-oh." And then we bring in Rajon Rondo, and he hasn't played really. I mean, he's played one game,
right?
He hasn't played. We're still just keep on trucking. So, like, man, oh man, this thing is for real.
I think when was it for you guys that you learned it was like for real? And obviously it's still
Today
so
at
early in the
4:00.
season. I think for me, it was actually against Oklahoma City, where it was the second night of a back-to-back long road trip, down 18 in the third quarter, storm back, win that game. And then today to come back in your first game at 3:30 in the middle of the day after a long trip, you finally got to sleep in your own bed last night, and to go wire to wire with one of the top teams in the East. We got something special going here. It's no longer fun. It's special.
this team almost doesn't know that they don't have to win these games. Like in the NBA, like you're expected to lose some of these games. Like I expected them that Oklahoma City game when they were down. I
Yep.
was like, I put it on in the second half just because there was nothing else on. And just to see them storm back that way. And it's like most every other NBA team, just once they're down like that, they're just like, okay, fine, put in the bench. We're going to lose this game. That's all right. We'll get set and get ready for the next one. But these guys, they just keep doing it. And it's just fantastic.
Well, and this is
Definitely.
exactly like how we wanted to build a team post LeBron. Like you looked at Oklahoma City, like that was the model to build a team. You draft well and you pick up it didn't work there. But Jared Allen had an interesting quote kind of along those lines. He said, we're all the same age, we're all young, we're literally all growing together, finding our way inside of the league. I didn't know how much that would mean to me until I was around this certain group of guys. I think there's a lot to that. They're all the same age. There is no, star that came in here. They're all trying to become that star together. And I think that is exactly what we've been looking for. And they're actually putting it together, which in Cleveland is a very tough thing to do.
Yep. But now you have to take that next step, just like the Browns, when you
Don't say that.
Yeah.
Oh, come
Well,
on.
no. I mean, because now expectations are going to start. And they're
Yeah.
going to start creeping in as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. You're going to get some level of expectation. I don't know for this year how high it's going to
I think
get.
they have a year.
I think so too. I
Yeah.
think so too. But we saw what it was with the Browns. We came in with expectations this year after success only in 1 year. So
And how about this, Chris? It's very similar to the Browns. Now people are saying, well, should the Cavs make, a small to medium to blockbuster trade? You bring in a guy like Karis LeVert. That's a name that's been floated around. Okay, well,
and what a name it is.
well, now like the expectations are higher. Karis LeVert has been a really solid young player on this team that should fit. So now your expectations go up a whole nother new level. So I agree with you.
Or you
Expectations.
go out
they're
and
gonna-
But
you get
I also
Martavius Mingo.
yes,
or you
exactly.
trade a first, a third, and Jabril Peppers for a guy that, quite frankly, you had no idea if he wanted to be here or not.
There you go.
I'm going to call a penalty on myself, though. May that be the
Oh, yeah?
last time we compare the Cavs to the Browns.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yeah. All right. Moving along.
That's right. Bill Simmons. We haven't talked about Bill Simmons.
Oh, God. Why do we have to bring
Oh,
another
you're gonna
role on
like
this
it,
show?
Chris.
Not
You're,
bring
no,
up
no,
Bill
no. You're gonna
Simmons.
No,
like
this
it.
is this was
Really?
interesting.
Exception.
Yeah, and
Alright.
I thought this was a contender for best tweet. So he just says the Cavs exclamation point after exclamation point. 27-18, most consistently entertaining league pass team from a basketball nerd standpoint, at least for me. Great chemistry, unconventional lineups, likable young stars. I'm voting 2 Cavs All-Stars, just letting you know now.
That's
It
great,
is
Bill.
kind of cool.
Thanks for
to
telling
see,
us something that we knew for 2 months now.
right? But you see the national guys starting to pick up on what this team is doing. It's a good feeling.
Now the national guys are saying this team is fun. It used to just be local. Now it's everyone.
Yeah, we'll get the meter to them.
Well, man, soon there will be potentially a guy in Los Angeles right now that's not doing a lot of winning, and boy, is he a national guy and a national brand that I'm sure. I'm just waiting for the other
Call
shoe
another
to drop.
penalty once
I'm
again. Do not
waiting
bring up
for
that
the other
certain
shoe
guy in
to
LA.
draw.
Let's pull up a Paul Dolan and let's just enjoy this team now.
That's right.
I'm telling
Let's hear
you,
them now.
the chatter will be there. The chatter will come. If you
Moving
build it,
right along.
he will come. And we built it.
Oh,
Chris, get going on the Field of Dreams photoshops for a year or two from now.
can't wait.
Our buddy Joe Thomas, going back to the
This is
Browns
the best
here,
tweet.
NFL playoffs. He says, Steelers, congratulations on your playoff participation trophy. Took some flack from some former Steelers. He was battling all night with Steelers fans on the internet. But I was watching these games, watching the Steelers, and then I was watching, God, who was? Oh, the Eagles. And I'm like,
Yeah.
would you rather be the Browns or would you rather be someone like the Eagles or the Steelers and just get decimated in the first round and make the
Well,
playoffs?
Hindsight's 2020. I'd rather be the Browns, get a better draft pick, don't
Sure.
have to go through that embarrassment, blah, 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 blah. But having said that, a week ago, we all would have killed to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
No.
that's very true. Very true.
Yeah. Hindsight's 20.
So who are we rooting for in the playoffs?
No one. For them to
No.
be over. Let's get through
Wow.
this Super Bowl. Let's just.
Really, I
fast
love
forward.
the NFL playoffs.
Chris wants the draft chime.
Let's go draft. Let's go draft 24/7. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on. Who do we like? Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave?
I don't know.
No, let's wait till April.
Go Bills.
Yeah,
I'll
Really?
say Buffalo. Yeah, why not? Buffalo.
I'll say this.
Why not
And
Buffalo.
Nick,
I
they're
love their fans.
playing
Man,
the Chiefs.
watching Josh Allen play this weekend, I felt my heart just slowly start to.
Well, yeah.
Boy, it's like you look around this AFC, right? And we know it good and well here in the AFC North now with Joe Burrow and his arrival. And then you got Justin Herbert and the things that he's capable of, and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
This has quickly become a new era of quarterback in the AFC North. And similar to many things in life, there are the Browns just trying to find their way. Is it Baker? Is it Kirk Cousins? Is it Jimmy G? Just
Nick,
Let's talk about the Cavs.
Nick, you know what Phil Savage said.
What did
Go
Phil
root
Savage
for
say?
Buffalo. Go root for Buffalo.
I got the Packers.
Remember that?
I'm rooting for the
You
Packers.
guys don't remember that? When Phil Savage?
Oh, I
sent
remember
us
that.
email?
You know, I
Yeah.
did think when GV was
You don't
teasing
like
the
it. Go
shirts,
root for Buffalo.
I thought the shirt was gonna say "Go root for Buffalo." But anyway, I'm pulling for the Packers for sure.
Oh gosh. Ugh. All right. Moving
Aaron
on.
Rodgers, bad toe.
I hate Aaron
Super
Rodgers.
Bowl.
I mean, I just do not like that guy.
Chris, come on,
He's
don't say
something.
that. He likes
He's-
Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah,
We
he's going to
already
be
got-
the next Browns quarterback, isn't he?
We
Aaron
got
Rodgers is gonna
insurance
be
companies in town that would be willing to give him the Patrick Price or the Rodgers rate.
Oh God! All right.
Come on, man,
at
Aaron
home
Rodgers.
with Aaron Rodgers.
At home with Aaron Rodgers in the AFC Championship game with Aaron Rodgers in the dog pound.
Oh, it's gonna be a
He's
long
getting
off
loopy
season.
now.
I could see Aaron Rodgers jumping in that dog pound, barking with the fans. He's a nut.
All right. What else do we have in news, Dave?
What'd you say?
What else do we have in news?
Nothing.
Headlines.
Absolutely nothing. It is time for best worst tweets. All right, what should we start with here? Let's.
Oh, I like the best
load
tweet.
it
I
up.
like option 2 for the best tweet.
Well, let's
Yes.
Option 1, actually, both of them are very me-centric, so I appreciate
Yes.
that.
You're
So the
welcome.
first one is Sam Amico. Taco Fall returns to the Cleveland Charge of the G League. That was a big moment for me and my family. We kind of covered it last week, but love to see that. Love to see him coming back because my kids' jerseys are now relevant again.
I'm coming
yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Coming home.
Welcome back, Taco.
Uh-oh.
Number 2, Ice-T. Yes, folks, that Ice-T. I sent him, he'd sent out one of those pictures of his dashboard, with the temperature that just drive me nuts. Today, of course, we had all of the snow pictures. Then it was the dashboard. And I did my Dr. Rick from the Progressive commercials. We don't need pictures of your dashboard. We know it's cold. It's January. No one cares. Ice-T. Ice-T went a little hot on this one and took exception and said, looks like you went to a lot of trouble to get noticed, dumb fuck. Congratulations.
God.
Congratulations. So he came really
Now,
hot.
did you get the follow?
Did you get the army of
did
refloggers on
not.
Ice-T?
I actually kind of did, because he had a few people who came after me, but there were a lot of people saying, whoa, Ice, he's cool. He's cool.
You should have Mary Kay call him.
That's exactly right. They can work it out there. Fantastic. But yeah, Ice-T. So we're going to have Ice-T on the show here soon, I'm sure.
There we go. A
Sort
friend
out
of
our
Shaq-
differences.
Friend of Shaq News. They interviewed
That's
him
right.
last. Yeah, that was very cool. Worst tweet. This is an old one. I don't know how we found this, but the Steelers Network. If the Steelers draft TJ Watt tomorrow, I'll probably cry myself to sleep. All the hype is because of his last name.
Yeah.
2017. How the heck did we find that?
Old takes exposed.
Old
man.
Tech's exposed. That guy, that's what he does.
Oh,
You
that's
ever talk to the guy that runs that one? He was on my old show, I think.
I don't know.
He lives in
Fred?
Florida, and like every morning, he went through his whole process. He's got a whole routine. He's quite an interesting character, but he will find it. If you put it out there, he will find it. And he has been just a burr in my ass for years. And good guy, but a burr in my ass. And it's nice to see it turn on Steelers Nation here.
TJ Watt was the 30th pick. What were Steelers fans doing crying about the that's when we talk about entitlement and
Steelers
fan
fans.
bases. I know. Next tweet. Or
No,
is that
that's
all
all.
of them?
That's it. That's
Way,
it. We're
way
done.
to end this
We're done.
show on that note. We're done.
144. Boy, that is by far our longest show.
Chris, you don't want to do baseball cards? Come on, man.
Da, 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 da,
That music haunts me. I hear that music in my nightmares.
No. All right, let's call it a night. Thanks for tuning into the Big Play Reflog show. Thanks to MKC for joining us here in the middle of the show.
And come on, Baker, ante up. You can get through that paywall. It's only, what is it, $3.50 or something a month? You could do that. Come on, Baker. That
I
would
think-
solve all our issues if our quarterbacks would just pay for the paywall.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. Thanks to ShackNews.com. Thanks to Labatt Blue Light. Thanks to TSE Cleveland and GV Art. And we will see you next Monday night. Thanks for
an
hanging out.
abbreviated show compared to this one.
That it will be. And hopefully giving away some more Labatt Blue Light and GV shirts.
Hell yeah.
All right. Have a good one. We will see you next week. Go Browns. Go Cavs.
Browns.
Go Cavs.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world! The Big Play Reflog Show!
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I know damn well. Attack by Chuck. He's to the 10. He's the running to the 5. He dips out back. 50 yards. Touchdown. Ready, away, back to goal. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You don't know baseball.
It's time! The Big Play